Everywhere you turn in the universe, you are met by strange phenomena that will have you eternally grateful for the protection of planet Earth. And thanks to scientific instruments getting more sophisticated, scientists have been inundating us with shocking discoveries from deep space. One of such places in the universe is planet Saturn, which has been yielding discoveries that make the jaws of even the veterans of the space industry drop. In this video, we bring you new terrifying discoveries on Saturn that shock the entire space industry. Saturn is one of the most distinct planets in the solar system with its system of rings. Of all the planets with rings, Saturn's are the most prominent, which is why it is nicknamed the ringed planet. The planet is the sixth from the Sun and the farthest planet from the Earth that you can see with the naked eye, although it is better viewed through a telescope. It's the largest planet in the solar system after Jupiter. Saturn is a gas giant containing mostly hydrogen and helium. The planet can accommodate more than 760 of our planet Earth. However, in terms of mass, Saturn is only 95 times heavier than the Earth, but it's still the second most massive planet. The ringed planet is the least dense of all the planets and is the only one less dense than water. So if you can find a bathtub huge enough, you could actually float Saturn on water. The yellow and gold bands you see in Saturn's atmosphere are the result of superfast winds in the upper atmosphere. These winds can reach up to 1,100 miles per hour or 1,800 kilometers per hour around its equator. These, combined with heat rising from the planet's interior, produces the color bands. A day on Saturn would be significantly shorter than you are used to because the planet rotates about once in just 10.5 hours, the second shortest in the solar system. However, the planet's high-speed spin causes it to bulge at its equator and flatten at its poles. In terms of size, Saturn is about 75,000 miles, or 120,000 kilometers across at its equator, and about 7,000 miles shorter from pole to pole. It orbits at an average distance of 886 million miles, or 1.4 billion kilometers from the Sun. As such, a year on the planet is the equivalent of 29.4 years on Earth. In fact, sunlight reaches Saturn 80 minutes after leaving the Sun. What about the colorful rings on Saturn? They were first spotted by Galileo Galilei in 1610, but because of the basic telescope he had, the rings appeared to be arms. But another astronomer with a better telescope 40 years later was able to see them for the thin, flat rings that they were. Saturn actually has plenty of rings which are not solid. They're actually made of billions of particles of ice and rock. The smallest of them are grain-sized, while the largest ones are the size of a house. Where do these particles come from? That is one of the mysteries of Saturn, but there are theories that they are debris left over from comets, asteroids, or shattered moons. Some experts even suggest they may be the carcasses of dwarf planets. The largest of the rings spans 7,000 times the diameter of the planet, but they are not so thick. For example, the main rings are typically only about 30 feet, 9 meters thick, although they can be very tall. Some of them are up to 2 miles or 3 kilometers in height. Saturn has not less than 5 dozen moons, and the largest, known as Titan, is larger than Mercury, a whole planet. The moons are an eclectic bunch, with 2 looking like flying saucers, and another one having a very bright and a second very dark side. Saturn has other smaller moons that are constantly being created and destroyed. Scientists are fascinated by this unique planet and continue to study it. And thanks to their equipment getting more sophisticated, they're uncovering more facts about Saturn that are shocking. For example, did you know Saturn used to be a bully? Instead of using its larger size to an advantage as a protective big brother, the planet would harass other planets. As the most massive planet in the solar system after Jupiter, the pull of Saturn's gravity has helped in shaping the fate of the entire solar system. Scientists say it may have violently hurled Neptune and Uranus outward, and along with Jupiter, it might also have slung a barrage of debris toward the inner planets early in the system's history. However, it appears Saturn has mellowed out as it aged because a recent study claims that Saturn, more so than Jupiter, may be steering dangerous asteroids away from Earth. Also, while there is a low possibility of life existing on Saturn, we might strike lucky on one of the moons. The moon is known as Enceladus and is surrounded by an ice shell. Why do scientists suspect life on Enceladus? Well, there is liquid water which can be seen shooting up as geysers at 800 miles per hour. In addition, another hint is the methane that the Cassini spacecraft has spotted coming from fractures near the South Pole. Methane actually is a possible sign of living organisms, so scientists are really intrigued by this 313-mile wide moon. Some astrobiologists postulate the Enceladus ocean has been existing for just long enough, maybe about 1 billion years, for chemicals to get dissolved and kickstart the processes that fuel life. So who knows if there is any creature swimming under the frigid crust of Saturn? In fact, when Cassini ran low on fuel, scientists decided to crash the spacecraft in a controlled manner. This was because left unchecked, it would have become uncontrollable and could have collided with one of the 2 moons around Saturn thought to possibly contain life. So to prevent contamination by any hardy Earth-born microbes that might be lurking on Cassini, NASA said goodbye in dramatic fashion. Saturn also has the distinction of being the first place outside the Earth where a hurricane has been discovered. Yep, apparently you can't even escape hurricanes by fleeing to Saturn. Scientists were shocked to discover the hurricane at the North Pole because it was totally unexpected. But the location was not the only shocking thing about Saturn's hurricane. It is massive. Nothing could have stood a chance before it because it is about 50 times the size of your average Earth-made hurricane. The eye alone is 1,250 miles wide, but bafflingly, the hurricane is completely stationary. Just how it started continues to baffle scientists because there is not enough water vapor for such a huge hurricane to form from. Now listen to the following audio. Sounds like lightning, right? Well, it is lightning, but what you might not know is that the lightning occurred not on Earth, but on Saturn. This lightning was recorded by the Cassini spacecraft as radio emissions and then converted to an audio file. Meanwhile, this is not your average lightning. Imagine a bolt of lightning lasting more than 8 months. Lightning discharges in Saturn's atmosphere produce very powerful radio waves, which are measured by the antennas and receivers of the Cassini Radio and Plasma Wave Science, or RPWS, instrument. The radio waves are about 10,000 times stronger than their terrestrial counterparts and originate from huge thunderstorms in Saturn's atmosphere. What is also perplexing about lightning on Saturn is that they occur mostly in a region nicknamed Storm Alley by scientists. The area lies 35 degrees south of the planet's equator. Scientists trying to explain this phenomenon say it could be that this latitude is one of the few places in Saturn's atmosphere that allow large-scale vertical convection of water clouds, which is necessary for thunderstorms to develop. Meanwhile, even though lightning that lasts more than 8 months is scary, scientists love them. This is because the lightning storms on Saturn produce radio waves that are also useful for studying Saturn's ionosphere, that is, the charged layer that surrounds the planet a few thousand kilometers above the cloud tops. The radio waves had to cross the ionosphere to get to the Cassini probe and thereby act as a natural tool to probe the structure of the layer and the levels of ionization in different regions. Let's go over to one of Saturn's moons where it rains methane. This is the moon known as Titan mentioned earlier. Titan is the only moon in our solar system known to have a thick atmosphere. In many aspects, Titan resembles the Earth. For example, apart from having stable bodies of surface liquid, Titan has a kind of hydrological cycle, much like Earth's, with liquids falling from the sky and flowing across the moon's surface before evaporating back into clouds. That surely reminds you of our water cycle. Some of the weather phenomena we'd be familiar with on Titan include dust storms and monsoonal rains. Titan's climate is driven by seasonal change. However, don't be in a hurry to pack your things and relocate to this moon. First, Titan is so far away that it gets 100 times less solar energy. So planting your food using photosynthesis may be a problem. Besides, you will have to cope with seasons lasting more than 7 Earth years. Saturn's seasons and Titan's are caused by their tilts, which cause the sun to strike the different hemispheres of these worlds more strongly or more weakly throughout Saturn's year, just like on Earth. Imagine summer lasting 7 years, or the cold winter. That will get boring in no time. Titan's clouds are composed of mostly methane and ethane, or hydrocarbons, but it is the same as the lakes. Scientists believe that cryovolcanoes, or ice volcanoes, erupt and spew methane into Titan's atmosphere, which then rains down onto the surface, forming lakes. Meanwhile, Titan has rainbows just like the Earth. In fact, these rainbows are larger than what you are used to on Earth. This is due to the combination of Titan's raindrops being made of methane, whose refraction is different from that of water. Let's hear what is most fascinating to you about Saturn in the comments section below.